Hi, boys and girls. Happy Tuesday. Today we have Stella as our superstar, which is awesome. Thank you, Stella. She gave a video a day early, but that's better to be early than late. So awesome job. Make sure you watch Stella. She's squirting her siblings in the backyard. It was super duper hot this weekend. I want to congratulate you again on those amazing power or passion projects. They're so great. The first grade teachers were talking, and we think it is the best passion projects we've ever had. And we love that they're in a video so that you'll have them forever. I want to give a special shout out to so many kids who have been earning passing levels on Lexia, which means that you guys are working so hard still to meet your goal. Mikhail, Kaylee, Anderson, Declan, Stella, and Edward all passed Lexia levels. Woohoo! We are so proud of you. Keep it up. Don't forget that after you watch your passion projects, you're supposed to send one email to somebody in the first grade, letting them know that what you liked about their project. So it does not have to be somebody in our class. If you decide to watch a friend from another class, you can 100% compliment them too. I also want to encourage you to be sending messages to healthcare workers. Mr. Snodgrass and Mr. Pinciotti asked me, classroom teachers, to reach out to you to ask you to do that. This is what Jack and Bennett did over the weekend. They're going to put together a slideshow to send to Dr. Acton, thanking her for all the hard work that she has been doing to help our community. So please don't forget to make those special notes for her. I'll put that up there today during our read aloud to make sure that we've got it. And just so we can remember, we had a lot of pages. We figured out that we would need to read 30 pages. Maybe. We figured out we needed to read 10 pages a day. So here we go. And Goonie Bird is telling the story of how Goonie Bird was late for school because she was directing a symphony orchestra. Once upon a time, in fact, it was just this morning, Goonie Bird got up and got dressed in the clothes that she had carefully laid out the night before. She ate her breakfast, brushed her teeth with her pre-pasted toothbrush, gathered up her homework, put on her elbow-length gloves, and started off to the Water Tower Elementary School. Goonie Bird interrupted herself. She explained to the teacher in the class, sometimes stories start in the most ordinary way, then they become exciting when something unexpected happens. Don't you find that to be true? The children nodded, thinking about their favorite stories, like Where the Wild Things Are, Ben suggested, or Little Red Riding Hood, Beanie said. When the wolf appears and you don't expect it. Oh, I'm so scared of the wolf, Kiko whispered loudly. Every time the wolf appears, Shh, the children said. Goonie Bird continued. Goonie Bird walked down Park Street, then turned the corner onto Walnut Street, and when she was halfway down Walnut Street, halfway to school, suddenly there was an enormous red and white bus coming very slowly. Each window had a head on it. The bus was full of people. Goonie Bird was amazed. Even though she had lived in Water Tower only a short time, about a week, she knew that the town of Water Tower did not have enormous red and white buses. Water Tower had 2 medium-sized yellow school buses, Goonie Bird knew. And she knew also that one of the Water Tower churches had a small white bus, really a long van that had a rainbow painted on it, and it said, Jesus is Lord on each side. But an enormous red and white bus was coming completely new to Water Tower. As Goonie Bird watched, it moved very, very slowly down the Walnut Street. She could see that the driver, though he was steering carefully, was also trying to look at a map in his hands. The bus driver saw Goonie Bird, and he beeped his horn, a very small beep. He pulled the bus to a stop with a breathy sound of brakes. Then he pushed the handle that opened the folding door. Excuse me, the bus driver said. You look as if you're on your way to school. Yes, I am, Goonie Bird replied, and I certainly don't want to be late. I am never, ever late. The bus driver looked as if he might begin to cry. I feel exactly the same way, he said. I am never, ever late, but this morning I have a terrible problem. He held up his map. Do you need help folding your map? Goonie Bird asked. It is hard to fold a map, but I find that if you follow these creases very carefully. No, the bus driver said. The problem is that I'm lost. Oh dear, Goonie Bird said. And the driver continued, we are going to be late for a concert. A concert? Yes, I have an entire symphony orchestra on this bus. So Goonie Bird climbed up the steps and got on the bus. Every seat was filled. There were men and women on the bus of all dressed in black. All the men were wearing black turtleneck shirts. The women were all wearing long black skirts. They definitely looked like an orchestra, but they looked very distressed. Where are you supposed to go? Goonie Bird asked the bus driver. To the town hall auditorium, Goonie Bird. Or to the town hall auditorium, he said. We are supposed to play a concert there this morning. He looked at his watch. It begins in 20 minutes, he said in a worried voice. I will get you there, Goonie Bird said. The bus driver called to the orchestra players. This wonderful girl is going to direct us, he said. Yay, the orchestra players all called. Luckily, even though she had lived in Water Tower for only a week, Goonie Bird knew exactly where the town hall auditorium was because her father had pointed it out when they drove around the town. There is the hospital, her father had said. Go there if you happen to fall from a ladder and break your arm. There is the police station, he had said. Go there if you happen to see a bank robber on the loose. And there is the town hall auditorium, her father had said. Go there if you want to see a ballet or a concert. Start the bus, Goonie Bird told the driver, and turn right at the very next corner. It was a good thing that she was wearing her long black gloves. When she pointed, everyone could see her long black pointing finger. There was no place for Goonie Bird to sit down, and we all knew that it is dangerous to stand while a bus is going, but she had no choice. She stood beside the driver and held on the side of the seat. He promised to drive very, very carefully. Next, turn left, Goonie Bird said and pointed, and there we are. She told him, see that large brick building? That is the town hall auditorium. Yay, the orchestra players called again. The women began to comb their hair. Thank you for directing us, they all said to Goonie Bird when they got out of the bus. The driver had opened the luggage compartment and was lifting out cellos. You will be late to school, the man said as he picked up a large black case. Trombone, he exclaimed. Yes, I will, said Goonie Bird. I will be tardy. Is there some way that we can thank you for helping our orchestra? He asked. Goonie Bird thought for a minute. Finally, she thought of a way, and she whispered it to the trombone player. He nodded yes. We will do that. One by one, the musicians thanked Goonie Bird. She said goodbye and hurried down the street to Water Tower Elementary School. She arrived at school just as the class was about to read cities in their social studies books. The end. So Goonie was telling the truth. Questions, anyone? Goonie Bird asked. Was there a drum player? Malcolm asked. Yes, Goonie Bird said. Every single part of the symphony orchestra was there, even a harp. Oh, Malcolm said, sighing. I wish I could have seen the drum player. I love drums. You will, Goonie Bird said. Was there a flute player? Chelsea asked. 2, Goonie Bird said. I wish I could hear the flute players, Chelsea said. You will, Goonie Bird said. I have a question, Goonie Bird, Mrs. Pigeon said. What was that you whispered to the trombone player? Secret, Goonie Bird said, but you'll find out at 12 o'clock sharp. That's lunchtime, Mrs. Pigeon pointed out. Precisely, Goonie Bird said. Now, shall we turn to our social studies? All morning, the children and Mrs. Pigeon, too, glanced again and again at the big clock on the wall. They did social studies and math and had a snack in the middle of the morning. Then they did reading and art. Finally, just as the clock hands moved to 12 o'clock and the second graders were about to reach for their lunchboxes, Goonie Bird announced, Here they are. She pointed to the large window on the side of the classroom. The children all stood up and watched through the windows as a red and white bus pulled up and parked. Do you know what's going to happen? I think I know. When the door of the bus opened, the orchestra players came out one by one holding their instruments. They arranged themselves in a semicircle on the lawn facing the Water Tower Elementary School. The conductor, holding a baton, stepped to the center and lifted his arms. Too bad he doesn't have long black gloves, Goonie Bird murmured. Mrs. Pigeon opened the window so that they could hear better. The orchestra began to play a slow, steady melody. When it finished, the conductor bowed. Then he turned to the window and explained. That was a saraband. Saraband. It's a kind of dance. We'll play it one more time in honor of Goonie Bird Green. So the orchestra played the same saraband again, and the children danced around the classroom in a very serious and graceful way. So cool. Goonie Bird helped out the orchestra, and then she asked that the orchestra come play at her school. Wow, could you imagine if a bus pulled up to our classroom window and played right outside there? That was so cool. We just read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We just read exactly 10 pages. Awesome, boys and girls. Have a wonderful Tuesday, and I can't wait to find out what happens in Goonie Bird's life next. Don't forget to write.